Hi, I'm Cheryl Ann from Cherry Lane's Cupcakes, and today I'm going to show you how to bake chai latte cupcakes topped with a really rich and decadent white chocolate frosting. These cupcakes are really just so delicious because they're so soft and moist and just packed with all the flavors of a chai latte. And the richness of the fudgy white chocolate frosting on top just complements the spiciness of the cupcakes so well, bringing together the whole flavor of a chai latte just within this glorious cupcake. So if you're a big fan of chai latte, definitely give this recipe a go and I'm sure you will love it. Anyways, enough talking, let's get straight into it. You'll need 2/3 of a cup of whole milk, 1 chai tea bag that is good quality, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cardamom, half a teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, as well as half a teaspoon of ground cloves. You'll also need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half one tablespoon of pure vanilla extract, and finally 1 3/4 of a cup of cake flour. However, if you can't find cake flour, you can very easily make your own by replacing 3.5 tablespoons of your plain flour with corn flour. You may know this as cornstarch. Firstly, start by sifting in your cake flour, all your spices, your baking powder, baking soda, and your salt, and then give it a good mix through. And if you have made your own cake flour, you want to make sure that you sift this mixture about 3 to 4 times to ensure that your cake flour is thoroughly incorporated with all your spices and your plain flour so that everything is nice and evenly mixed throughout. So once you do that, you're ready to go on to your next step. So now you just pour your milk into a saucepan, turn on your stove to a medium heat, and let your milk come to a simmer. You'll know that it is warm enough when you start to see a little bit of smoke start to come up, like just evaporating the milk, and a few bubbles just start to form around the side. And once you just put your hand over it, you can feel that it's warm enough. So now you just throw in your chai tea bag and just let that boil and infuse with the milk for a little while. And once it looks something like this, just wrap it up and leave it on your stove counter away from the heat and just let it sit there until it cools down to room temperature. However, to speed this process up, you can also just stick it in the fridge to let it cool quicker. Next, in a large bowl, add in your caster sugar and your softened unsalted butter and just beat that on low until you start to see your butter and sugar mixture start to come together. Then switch it on to high and just keep beating that until everything is well mixed together and incorporated, such that your mixture looks kind of like coarse crumbs. To that, add in your eggs, oil, sour cream, and vanilla extract, and then beat that on high speed for about 3 to 5 minutes until everything is well mixed together and looks smooth. Next, ensure that your chai-infused milk is already cooled to room temperature or colder, and now you want to alternate adding your milk and your flour into your butter and egg mixture in 2 different parts. So first I just added in half of my flour mixture and beat that on a low speed until it's kind of combined, and then I added in half of my milk, beat that, and then the rest of my flour, beat that, and then finishing off with the milk and just beat that on high until everything is nice and smooth. Don't forget to scrape down the sides as you go along to ensure that you thoroughly incorporate all of your ingredients. So once you get your batter looking as smooth as this, you're ready to just fill in your cupcake liners up to only about 3/4 of the way full. Be careful not to overfill them because these cupcakes will rise quite a bit. Make sure your oven is preheated to 175 degrees Celsius, and you want to bake that at 175 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes and then bring it down to 135 degrees Celsius and bake that for another 10 to 15 minutes. You'll know your cupcakes are completely done when you stick a toothpick into it and it comes out clean. So just set that aside to cool, and now you're ready to go on and make your frosting. So for your frosting, add in 120 grams of white chocolate into a microwave-safe bowl, and you want to heat that up in your microwave for 30 seconds, and then take it out, give it a mix through. Although it might not be melted yet, mixing it really will help melt your chocolate more evenly and prevent it from burning. So as you can see here, after the first round of 30 seconds, the chocolate wasn't melted yet, so I just gave it a quick stir and then put it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds, and when it came out, it looked something like this. So there are still chunks of chocolate inside, but as I kept stirring it, the heat from the bowl and the rest of the chocolate will continue to melt the pieces that haven't been melted. That's why you really want to make sure you give it a stir every 30 seconds so that you don't accidentally burn your chocolate, because then you wouldn't be able to work with it. So once you're done mixing and stirring all of your white chocolate until everything is melted and looks really smooth, you're ready to just add in 150 grams of softened unsalted butter into a large mixing bowl. And although I didn't do this step, I highly recommend beating your butter first until it becomes really creamy before you sift in 1 1/3 of a cup, which is 160 grams of icing sugar. You may also know this as confectioner's or powdered sugar. And just beat that on low speed until everything is nice and incorporated, and then you beat that on high for about 3 to 5 minutes until everything looks nice and smooth. Don't forget to scrape down the sides and the bottom as you go along to ensure that you thoroughly incorporate all of your ingredients. And now you can add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and then just beat that until well mixed together. And by now your chocolate should be slightly cooled, so now you just pour that into your mixture and just keep on beating that on high for about 3 to 5 minutes until everything is really smooth and glossy. Your frosting should look like this, really thick and firm, but oh my god, trust me when I say this frosting is really amazing. So here I'm just using a tip with just a round hole at the bottom. It's around 1 centimeter wide. So I just put it into my bag and pushed it all the way down, creating like a little stopper, cutting off the end and pushing out so that the entire shape sticks out. So I just rolled down the top of my bag like so, and then used my left hand as a holder as I popped in my frosting into the piping bag. However, if you have a tall glass, you can very easily just stick in the nozzle part of your piping bag into the glass and just wrap the bag over the glass as you pop in your frosting. This would make it a lot easier to put in your frosting and make it a lot neater. However, I didn't have one, so using my hand was just as good. So once I filled my bag as much as I could, leaving a bit of space on the top, I just rolled it up, twisted it twice, and squeezed it firmly to make sure that I could start to see my frosting come out of the nozzle. So I just directly held my piping bag over the middle of my cupcake and applying even pressure as I slowly lifted it up, creating that dome shape. So as you squeeze, you pull it up very, very gradually, just as fast as you are squeezing your frosting onto your cupcake. So once you are done frosting all of your beautiful chai latte cupcakes, you just sift on some cocoa powder and some shaven dark chocolate to just make it look more like a latte. And then just peel the paper back, put it in your mouth, chew it, eat it, enjoy it, and just let your body absorb all of the wondrous flavors in this amazing chai latte cupcake. Just thinking about it right now just makes me want to eat one. Anyway, if you're a fan of chai latte, I really recommend that you give this a shot. And if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Cheryl Ann from Cherry Lane's Cupcake.